Hello, All Saints folks, and anyone else watching this video. This is a video to introduce you all and to teach a little bit how to sing the Psalms. All right, so you can see my screen here. You can see there Psalm 95 and some notation, musical notation. So what are we up to? Well, here's the idea. So in our Bibles, the middle of the Bible, everyone knows that from Sunday schools past. Right in the middle of the Bible, we have 150 Psalms, what we call Psalms. 150 songs that God has given us and that He divinely inspired to be a part of our Bible. And one of the great challenges that the church faces is using these Psalms and singing them. And we all know that many of our hymns, our worship songs, our praise songs are influenced heavily by Psalms. Themes, words, phrases being sort of interjected into Psalms. But we tend to not sing the actual Psalms that much. We tend to just read them as if they were texts like other texts in the Bible, as if it was a gospel or an epistle or something. But we know they are meant to be sung. These are songs. These are the songs that God has given us. So, like I said, the challenge is how do we sing them and actually sing the Psalms as they are, not just take out a few themes or words and put them into other songs with other words. But how do we actually sing these songs? How do we sing Psalm 95 in all of its words and in the form that it's come to us in our Bibles? That's the challenge. Well, the church has risen to the challenge, of course, which we can look to history and to see how this is done. So I'm going to show you guys a way of singing the Psalms that's actually pretty simple. So this is often called chanting. It's in the same family as Gregorian chant. If you've ever heard of that, maybe that brings up a certain image in your mind. But this is a way, this is called using psalm tones. We sing a psalm tone. And this is great because there's a lot of psalms. And so if we were to learn a different tune, a different melody, a different musical form for every psalm, that would be very difficult. It would take a long time. So by using psalm tones, we can actually learn one tone, two, three tones, and we can apply them to all of the psalms, and we can sing all of them with just a few melodies learned, which is really nice, so that we don't have to compose 150 different melodies for all the psalms. As cool as that would be, it's a little impractical if you actually want to make psalm chanting and singing a part of a daily or a weekly practice of your devotions. That would be very impractical to have to learn 150 distinct melodies. Rather, we can just learn one or two and apply them to all. So what we have here in front of us then is Psalm 95, Venite. Okay, it says third Sunday in Lent. I'm getting this from the ACNA's new Coverdale Psalter they just put out with music in it, which is really great. This is as far as they've gotten, unfortunately. So we're just going to take this Psalm 95, and I'm going to show you how we would sing this as to a psalm tone or sing it as a chant. Yeah, so we're going to dig into the details here a little bit. So the first thing I would say, as we're looking at this on the page, is that you don't need to know how to read or even really understand much of this. So I'm not going to reference the notation all that much, just because there is a level of musical training that some of us may not have. We're going to look at the words, and we're going to talk about how the tone connects to the words. All right. The other thing I want to say right up front is that my intention is to give you some tools for you guys to be able to apply this to any psalm. But if you just want to sing along with the recordings that Father Mark's going to provide of himself and Deacon Ben, Deacon Dawson, and myself singing Psalm 95 and Psalm 46, the ones we're going to look at today, you can just sing along with those. and you can participate in this chanting. And as we kind of roll out new psalms and show you new stuff, you can just sing along like you would learn any other song. But if you want a way that you can take this method and apply it to other psalms really simply, that's what I'm going to show you now. Okay, so first thing is, what are the parts of a psalm tone? Okay, so I'm gonna use the music up here just to kind of write out the names of these things. So this note here represents what we call the reciting tone. I'm just gonna say RT for reciting tone. So that's the reciting tone. Okay, we'll come back to what that actually means. These two would be a cadence. Okay, then we have a bar line right here. Okay, that divides this tone into two pieces. And then if we look at our verse here, we notice that each verse is broken into two lines. And it's the same way in our 2019 BCPs. Every verse is broken into two lines. That's so that we can sing them, actually. So that corresponds to the middle of the melody, right? Again, don't need to know anything about notation. Just this line corresponds to the middle of the melody. Then we've got another reciting tone, and we'll talk about what that means in a second. And then we have another cadence, a final cadence or an ending cadence. And then we're done. Okay, so this is the whole melody. It sounds like this. So I was going to sing it with solfege, which is just naming notes with different syllables. It sounds like this. Do, 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 do. That would be the reciting tone. That can be really short, can be long. And then the cadence is re, do. That's the first line of the verse. The second line of the verse sounds like this. Do, 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 do. That reciting tone can be short or long. And then the cadence is ti, do, la, sol. If I was going to sing it on a neutral syllable, like la, sounds like this. La, 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 la. Reciting tone and cadence. Next one. La, 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 la. That's it. What is that? 4 seconds of music. If you know that, if you can learn that, what I just sang, you can apply that to any psalm and you can sing the psalms. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's look at where the reciting tone, cadence, the second reciting tone, the second cadence, where do we see that in the words? How does that connect to the text of our psalm? So let's look at verse 1 here. O come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us heartily rejoice in the strength of our salvation. So let's notice a few things. First, we've noticed that the verse is broken into two lines, and that corresponds. So this line here corresponds to that middle section, which is just saying half of that melody we're going to sing on the first line, and the other half we're going to sing on the second line. Simple enough. And then notice in the text, we have these little tick marks here, right there and right there. Okay, excuse my shaky scrawl there with my computer pen. That corresponds to that little pause or the break between the reciting tone and the cadence. So I'll circle those up here in the music so you just see that, right? So this right here is the point where you stop doing the reciting tone and you start singing the cadence. And so if I was going to sing this first line, I'm going to use the reciting tone for "O come, let us sing unto the." So that, and then for Lord, I'm going to sing the cadence, right? So it's "O come, let us sing unto the Lord." So Lord gets the cadence, and you can see that because of this this mark here. We usually call it the dot. Now, the folks who put this together didn't use a dot. They wanted to show the connection between the music here and the text. And that's fine. So I might refer to that as a dot. Okay, so we sing up to the dot, and then we sing the cadence. If I'm going to sing the second line now I'm going to go on to the second half of the melody. Let us heartily rejoice in the strength of, here's the cadence, our salvation. And I know to switch from reciting tone to cadence because of the dot. Because of the dot right here. Okay, so that whole verse then would sound something like this. O come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us heartily rejoice in the strength of our salvation. Simple enough. Verse 2, if I read the same thing, first line is going to be the first melody. Second line of verse 2 is going to be that second melody. Okay, sounds like this. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving, right? And show ourselves glad in him with psalms. Verse 3, for the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. Verse 4, in his hands are all the depths of the earth, and the heights of the hills are his also. And so on and so forth. So you can see then in the text how we have what we call pointing. The text is pointed, those marks are put in to show where you switch from the reciting tone to the cadence, from the reciting tone to the cadence. So a fairly simple way to do this. Now, that's kind of the marks and the mechanics of when you're reading this, how you know where to switch from reciting tone to cadence. But then there's some things that we also need to talk about in how we sing it. The idea with singing 150 psalms is that you don't need to learn super melodic, intricate, complex melodies for every psalm. These melodies are purposely super simple because we want to place in the forefront of our singing, the forefront of our minds, the forefront of our worship, the words themselves, the text and the ideas and the themes and the poetry that's being communicated, and the music is just a way to support that. It's not music first and the text hides behind that. You know, if we have a really great melody, then maybe people will listen to the words. So we have the words, we have the word, capital W word, and the music supports. Right, so the melodies are very simple, and it's meant to be non-distracting, but just add that element of great beauty and that effect that music has on us to really drill words and ideas and themes and the poetry into our minds if we set it to music. So it's so simple that you don't need to be some great singer, right? You're singing 6 notes here. Yeah, you're singing 6 different notes. You guys can do this, right? So the way that you sing it, though, it might be confusing. When you're listening to me sing a reciting tone, back to verse 1, if I sing, "Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord," and the cadence, you go, well, how do you know how to sing the reciting tone, right? You have one note, and the answer is you sing it with the natural rhythm of how you would speak it. So I would say that, "Oh, come, let us sing unto the," and when I sing it, I use the same rhythm. "Oh, come, let us sing unto the," "Oh, come, let us sing unto the," "Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord." And then the slightly more complex, musically complex part is the cadences, which are still really simple. If I sing verse 2, the reciting tone is how I would speak it. I use the natural rhythm of the language. Let us heartily rejoice in the strength of. Let us heartily rejoice in the strength of. You see how it matches just the speaking rhythm. So if you know how to read it, if you know how to say it, you know how to sing it. You will always sing that reciting tone in a natural speaking rhythm at a natural speaking speed, right? We don't want to sing these uber slow. We don't want to sing them really, really fast. Sing it how you would read it. And all you do is say it on the same note, right? Okay. Another thing, I might have to scroll down here to find an example, a good example. It's a bit confusing. Here's a good one. Okay, verse 10, I'm right here. We have this 40 years long I was grieved. Sorry, 40 years long was I grieved with this generation and said. Now, an interesting part of this, just the tradition of psalm chanting, is that any word with an ed in it, you stress the ed. So while we would say this grieved, 40 years long was I grieved, we actually sing it 40 years long was I grieved with this generation and said. So you would say it like that. So any ed word at the end, you would say it with this stressed, grieved, not grieved. Okay. So that would sing like this. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and okay, there's the dot that separates. Said. Okay, so anytime you see an ed word, you always stress the ed, right? You always stress that ed ending. Grieved. Let's see if there's another one down here somewhere. Here's one. And his hands, we would say, if we're speaking it, we would say prepared the dry land. When we're singing it, we would say prepared. Prepared the dry land. The sea is his, for he made it, and his hands prepared the dry land. Yeah. So those two things together. So let's look at excuse me. Let's look at another psalm. This is another one that we have been saying together, well, together apart, I suppose. Psalm 46. Father Marcus called this the plague psalm, appropriate for the days that we have here. Okay, so this is what you have in your BCP. And while you can go and download the new Coverdale Psalter from the ACNA website, I recommend that. Download the Gregorian chant version. There's another version that has a lot more notes and is more complex. You don't need it. And it has the music with the Psalms already what we call pointed with those marks in, but you can do the pointing yourself, which means you can put in the marks yourself. So if you just want to learn that one Psalm tone, la 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 la, you're probably starting to memorize it by now that I've sung it 8 times. And you can take that and you can apply it to any psalm. Let me show you how. So this is what you have in your BCP. Right in the back, they have the Psalter, all the Psalms, 46. We've been focusing on this a little bit. And you can put in the pointing marks yourself. So for Psalm 46, I'm going to think about my melody. I have the first half of that melody is la, 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 reciting tone. The cadence is la, la. So you have 2 syllables there. And you look at the first line, and you could put a mark here. I'll put actually a dot. And you could sing, God is our refuge and strength. Or the cool thing about this is you can kind of put it where you want. I would actually put it here. It seems like they like to put those 2 notes over one syllable in the other text. I think it sounds nice. So then I would sing, God is our refuge and strength. Easy. So you got a pencil, you can do this. And then the next melody, la 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 la. 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables in the cadence. You can count back 4 syllables. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe put the dot here. See if you like how that sounds. A very present help in trouble. Cool. And then that verse is done. And you go on to the next one. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth be moved. Remember, we stressed the ed there. Moved. I'll put the dot there. And then we go to the second verse. And though the hills be carried into the midst of the sea. I put my dot here. And though the hills be carried into the midst of the sea. Nice. Third verse. Though its waters rage, and I'll do it right here. Swell, and though the mountains, I'll do it right here, shake at its tempest. Yeah, or maybe I would move that one. This is the great thing. You can try something out, you don't like it, move it somewhere else. And though the mountains shake at its tempest. Cool, that works. If you put your dot somewhere else, it's totally fine. You sing it, try it out, see if you like it. This is so great because one, it gets you this practice of writing in your own marks gets you really focusing on the words in a way that maybe you wouldn't if you're just reading through. And especially if you've read the Psalms a lot, sometimes they can just the words in any scripture can fly by without a lot of effect. But when you're forced to think about it poetically, come at it from another angle, suddenly you're spending more time with each words. And then when you finish a psalm, you feel really proud and you can sing it when you've pointed it all. Great. So let's do verse 4 as well, and then we'll sing this one and show you how that's done. I'm going to put my dot here for verse 4, and then the holy dwelling place of the Most High. I'm going to put my dot here. Okay. You guys can definitely take more time than I'm taking, put more thought into this, but I'll go ahead and sing Psalm 46 with the chanting tone, the psalm tone that we have learned. So it would sound like this. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth be moved, and though the hills be carried into the midst of the sea. Notice the carried, right? Not carried. Though its waters rage and swell, and though the mountains shake at its tempest, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy dwelling place of the Most High. And there you go, a little example of how in a few minutes with a pencil and a psalm tone that you have memorized, 4 seconds of music, you can apply that psalm tone to any psalm, and then you can sing the song that God has given us. And let's not be mistaken, they are meant to be sung. There's nothing wrong with reading them, but we're given songs. It behooves us to make an attempt to sing them and sing them as they come to us in the translations that we have in our scriptures. Another good thing to notice here, which is so nice, is that the BCP already has every verse broken into two, and they've marked that with this little asterisk called a thesaurus. Don't need to know that, but when you look in your BCP, that's the real hard work. If you were doing this, looking at maybe just your Bible version that you have, the verses aren't broken up for you, but in the BCP, if you have that, they're already broken up for you. And that's pretty much the hardest thing you'd have to do if you were starting from zero with this, is actually choosing where to put the break. So all you got to do is put in those dots to choose where you're going to switch from reciting tone to cadence. All right, so hopefully that's helpful and something that you can use. And you can practice along with recordings of Psalm 95 and Psalm 46 that Father Mark and myself, Deacon Dawson, Deacon Ben made the other day. And I hope that this is a help to you and just enriches your devotion time with Scripture. All right. Thank you all.